Hello and welcome back to This Week in Clown World. Now, I've been on vacation, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that I missed that I'm not really going to talk about. I'm still trying to catch up on everything, but I'm going to go ahead and run through a little bit of stuff. Sonic is doing a Mason at the box office after both the media and Twitter tried to slander it for basically listening to the fans, something that they don't like to be reminded that they need to do. They see themselves as better and smarter than us. That's why they hate having to listen to us, and they refuse to anymore. They just think that consumers should shut up and just consume and give them money for crap products because they know better and they're ivory towers. But along with it, Sonic doing fantastic. Birds of Prey is dropping and dropping. Some theaters are full on getting rid of it. It's seen a 56% drop, and it's estimated to lose about $60 million if you include advertisements. Because the current rule of thumb is to take whatever the movie was made for and then double it to add advertisements, which could actually be even more because the way that they base it is off of ticket sales, and they don't get 100% of the ticket money back. Here we have CBR, and CBR and comicbook.com are both extremely trash sites, and I'm sorry that I ever followed them before. They just started going on and on listing articles about WWE and Trump and all that when I came to them for comics. But CBR says Hollywood still won't let female superheroes exist in the present, and this whole article is about labeling that as sexist, forgetting that Wonder Woman's first appearance was in a current era movie, along with I think it was her third appearance. And the fact that the new Wonder Woman, I believe, is set in the current time, and that Black Widow is set between the last two Avengers movies, which the last one, Endgame, was set 3 years from now. So she could be anywhere from 2 years in the future to only a couple years back. Not to mention that there has been older ones that took place during the time that they came out, much older movies, and that there's animated movies of these heroes that take place in the here and now. Blizzard had a major debacle with Warcraft 3 Reforged. They were having a pro, I believe, esports tournament where the winner of it would go on to the semifinals, if I'm correct, or this was the semifinals. I'm not exactly a Warcraft fan. It was a best 2 out of 3 competition when the underdog, the one that they thought was not going to win, actually was pulling off wins. Then he got disconnected in 2 different games when he was winning. And after that, they admitted defeat and switched back to Classic and gave up on Reforge, and he ended up losing the overall championship. People are very mad about this, and I think Blizzard should just give him the money along with the guy who did beat him, because it would be unfair to take away his money. It wasn't his fault, just like it wasn't the other guy's fault. I think Blizzard, as a company, has a ton of money. They can take the hit. This would be good PR for them. After everything that they did with the Hong Kong shit and Blitzchung, they really need good PR. So this was, at best, Blizzard ended up making a pro tournament with a game that has serious issues and was not even capable of running this tournament. Whether it was neglect and they didn't bother to test it firsthand, or if it was them just saying that even though it's having server issues, they'll just power through it, which just made them look dumb. Or at worst, Blizzard was for some reason causing this one person to keep disconnecting, and I'm not sure why they would have done that. Samantha Bee went after PragerU, which I think is the second largest conservative YouTube channel right after Steven Crowner. I may be wrong about that. They may be further back. I'm not exactly sure. I don't watch too many of them on YouTube. She called them dangerous and listed one of the reasons as conservative, which just shows you that these people are in a serious cult. Can't trust the outsiders. Of course, she presented no real evidence and took them out of context. Now, I don't really watch too much PragerU. They do sometimes cross my feed on Facebook or something, and I'll watch them mostly if they got Will Witt in it, because I really like him. I think he goes around and shows how stupid people can be, and I really enjoy that.
Think Trump is worse than Hitler?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could be.
definitely.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
He's childish.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Stop. He's trying to stop, food stamps. People need those.
Do you think that ending food stamps is as bad as killing 6 million Jews?
He did that?
Yeah.
You from Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
What do you think about them banning plastic straws?
Yeah, the ocean's full of plastic, so it's good.
But you're using one. It's kind of hypocritical.
I don't know, it's free.
Okay.
When that girl asked if Hitler killed 6 million Jews, my face matched Will's right there. I get ending food stamps, I get the arguments for and against, and I am against it as somebody I was a child. My mother did benefit from it, and it did help a lot. I know some people do abuse it, but to really say that makes him worse than Hitler, this is why I like the Will Witt PragerU videos. I sometimes watch some of the other ones, but for the most part, I only tune in for these ones, and only whenever they cross my feed. But of course, she never actually gave anything about how these videos are dangerous, other than the fact that they're conservative, which does not inherently make anything dangerous. The only danger is that it would make you think, and that's something that Samantha Bee does not like to do. Saying that this is dangerous because it's conservative is like saying Think Media, ContraPoints, and the Young Turks are all dangerous because they're liberal. But this did instantly backfire on Samantha Bee. Not did everybody show up and dislike her video, and not only did she get backlash on social media, but PragerU actually made a lot of money just off of donations, volunteer donations that they didn't ask for, off of her. Getting, as of Thursday, over $25,000 in donation. And the reason why she wasn't expecting this is because her people on the left, the progressives, when they want something, they do not show up to support it if it costs money. That's why they vote based on whoever's going to give them the most free shit. People on the right and people who aren't on the right but are kind of tired of this political correctness crap are willing to put their money where their mouth is. We saw it with Sonic, we saw it with Joker, we see it with this. The Disney Plus She-Hulk writer, whose name I can't remember and don't give a crap enough to go look for, after she did South Park and its fans, citing specifically the boys, because apparently girls don't watch South Park. After all that, she wrote an article saying that the trolls were coming for her. Now, this is funny because she talked about how criticism was dealt with mockery, and South Park taught people that, as everybody tried to criticize her, and now she's mocking them for it. So it looks like a lot of that, like most cases when it comes to these woke idiots, is just projection. She did end up trying to play the victim card, saying that there's no place where a woman can go and voice her opinion, as if people were coming after her because she was a woman and not because she has bad opinions. And it can get a little irritating. For the most part, I am fine with this, and this is why, because everybody that could have been on her side, that looked at her take and then saw her blame it on her being a woman, is one less person that is now going to side with people like her. It's how people get desensitized. It's how they get out of that little cult that they have been forming for a while now. For every person that fakes a hate crime or plays the victim card or whatever it may be, that's one person who's going to look at them and say that's not true, and they're just going to start questioning things. It happens slowly, but a lot of us have been there. Now, if you're somebody here who enjoys video games, you've probably seen for a long time the media coming after video games and people who play video games, and that started sowing the distrust because you knew what they were saying were lies. But the funny part is, she said that her original draft had the word shit about 50 times. I'm assuming calling people shitheads and stuff like that. And it's funny that she posted that, because that just shows how absolutely pissed off she was about getting criticism about what she was saying, and how absolutely mad she is that a cartoon is affecting her life so much. Anita Sarkeesian and the rest of feminist frequency hopped on the Birds of Prey sexism bandwagon, trying to say that the movie is fun and everybody just hates women, despite it was like 52% or so of the audience were men. Wonder Woman did great. The new Wonder Woman looks great. Black Widow looks great. The new Ghostbusters is starring a woman as well, and it looks like it's going to be very good. Alita Battle Angel did great. There are tons of movies, woke movies, that star men, directed by men, all that bullshit that you hate, that flopped. And you guys won't bring that up because it counters your point, just like how you won't bring up a ton of movies with women, whether they're in the lead roles, writing, directing, whatever it may be, that did really great, because then that disproves your point. And of course, I would love to tell Anita and the rest of Feminist Frequency this, but like always, the comments are disabled, and the Discord that they raised $32,000 for, the free Discord, is still not a thing. They never made it. Again, scamming people, which Anita Sarkeesian and Feminist Frequency is something I was mentioning before, playing the racist and sexist card and all that, and they got a lot of gamers out of that because they're pretend gamers. Lily Singh was at the NBA roast, and of course, she had to make it all about her, exactly like she does on her show. She had to mention her skin color, the fact that she's a woman, and that she's bisexual, because those are the only jokes that she has other than white people, am I right?
Man, I love Tiffany. I love you, Tiffany. Yeah, she's like family, you know? I'm Indian, so she's wearing my cousin's hair right now. I was a huge basketball fan growing up because, you know, as a Canadian, my other choice was hockey. And if I wanted to watch white people skate, I'd go to any courtroom in America. But I get it, okay? Most of the people up here haven't heard of me. I'm only famous on some small thing called the internet. I mean, I just came out as bisexual last year. And already I've pleasured more women than Jeff Ross. Kenny is known as Kenny the Jet, though he should be called Kenny the Jet Blue since he's always been a discount option.
Look at that disdain in her eyes. You can tell that this is a person who just does not love themselves. But her jokes, one, weren't funny, and two, were bombing very hard. You can hear the people going, oh, because they're not allowed to boo. You're not allowed to boo at roasts. This is not a woman who got a show because she was funny and because she deserved it. Daniel Tosh's stand-up looked amazing, and I like Daniel Tosh, but his stand-up is a very weak point, mainly because he probably writes that on his own. So why didn't Lily Singh hire some people to come up with some actually good roasts for her? And it's probably because she's worried that, like on her show, people would catch her stealing jokes. Mike Bloomberg ended up going to Flint, Michigan as part of his election campaign. Obviously, that there was a lot of vandalism. I do not approve. I think that is wrong. But the Bloomberg team, of course, tweeted about it going on in Flint. And people took the time to roast Mike Bloomberg, who has spent millions on TV ads alone. Just TV, we're not talking about the internet. And has done absolutely nothing to help Flint. He could have put some of that money towards the plumbing, because everybody knows that Flint has very, very awful plumbing, and it's the whole reason why the water crisis was going on, and they didn't have clean drinking water, which Mike Bloomberg has done nothing to help. Now, don't get me wrong, he's under no obligation to actually put his money towards fixing it. It's hard to tell people what they can and can't do with their own money. It reminds me of the time that there was a GoFundMe for the wall, and my friend was complaining about the water in Flint, and I'm like, well, why don't you cancel your Netflix and you start, putting that money towards the GoFundMe for Flint and everything, or the money from Planned Parenthood. Of course, she didn't bother to respond to any of that because that was a natural argument. Just like how she couldn't say people couldn't put their money towards the wall, we can't say he has to put his money towards the water crisis in Flint. But if you're going to campaign there, try and tell them how much you love them, try and tell them what you're going to do for them as president. Maybe as a billionaire, you should do a little something for them before trying to beg for their votes, because they know that you're just using them for votes. You'll say whatever you need to, as long as you don't actually have to do anything for them. But because I like to end these things with either good news or nice things, today I get to do both, even so sometimes I don't get to do either. Harvey Weinstein has been found guilty of rape, I believe, in 2 different trials, one in the 1st degree and in the 3rd degree. So I am glad that this son of a bitch is finally going to prison, and I hope he gets whatever the hell he deserves in prison. I hope he can't buy his way out of this, and that he is forced to serve his full time, which is hopefully a couple life sentences. Even though he's only got about a quarter of a life left, I would imagine. Before I forget, Carlos Mazda did upload a new video. I am going to take a look at that and see if there is a reason why I should do a video on it. I haven't actually watched it yet. So that may be coming, it may not, depending on the content in the video. And the last thing I want to talk about is something that I think is so awesome. I'm glad to see, especially after all the slander of gamers in the media and from woke progressives on Twitter and even the president himself. In VR chat, they actually teach people how to do sign language, and it's based off of their type of headset. If you're not a gamer, different headsets have different kind of controls, and they make your fingers move in different ways, so it can be very unique based on the headset, and very limited or expanded. And they have deaf gamers come in and they interpret for them and everything. And I love seeing gamers just help each other in this way. I love the fact that gaming is becoming more and more accessible to people who did not have a chance to ever really enjoy them in the first place. It is very amazing to see.
You have different ways to say the word depending on what VR you're using?
That's exactly what it is. So, real life, this is not me world. This is the actual sign for world. It's W's and you go around like that. World.
Hated. Absolutely. Oh! Hello.
CO can't hear you. We're gonna have to wait for an interpreter to join.
Oh.
Oh my god, you two are having a moment and I don't know what about.
So, like, good morning. And then Catman pops up here. And it's the morning.
So tell me in the comments, guys, what segment do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about the idiot South Park chick? Are you a fan of PragerU? Tell me what you thought about Samantha Bee attacking it. Are you a gamer? Do you know any other ways that gamers are helping the disabled gamers get into gaming and really help improve their lives so they can have fun like most of us can? Are you a fan of Sonic? I saw opening weekend. I thought it was really great. I thought Tim Curry, other than a couple of jokes here and there that were specifically for the kids, he was more of there to get a laugh out of the adults, and he did a good job of it. And thank you everybody for showing up, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this video.